What is up, you guys? Welcome to another episode of Redstone Fundamentals. In this episode, I'm going to be talking to you about redstone torches and how amazing they are and what they do and what you can use them for and how to best utilize them so that you can make the greatest, most magical redstone contraptions ever. All right, let's just get right into it. Alright guys, so here is a redstone torch. If you want to craft a redstone torch, it just costs one stick and one redstone dust. You can find these generated throughout the world. You can find them in jungle temples as part of the traps that are set up in that temple. You may be able to find them in a couple other places, but there are some ways to find them automatically generated in the world. If not, it just costs a stick and a redstone dust, and so it's very cheap, very easy to get. A redstone torch in its default state is powered, so anytime you place a torch, it will at first be powered. If you give a redstone torch power, so in this case it's not receiving any power, if we give the redstone torch power, then it will turn off. So redstone torch is essentially backwards to almost every other redstone component, where most other components, similar, like for example redstone dust, in its default state it is unpowered. A redstone torch, on the other hand, in its default state is powered. A redstone torch will power redstone dust in all four directions, as well as the dust directly on the block above the redstone torch, as you can see. It will also power a dust directly below the redstone torch. So as you can see, the redstone torch is in this block space here, and it will actually power the redstone dust on the block directly below it. However, if you were to place blocks around a redstone torch in the same positions as these redstone dust, the redstone torch does not power the blocks. And as you can see, as I've mentioned before, where there's two different kinds of powering a block in Minecraft. There's soft powered and hard powered. Either way, the repeater should be able to pull a signal out of this block if it is powered, even if it's soft powered, and it is not pulling any signal out. So even though a redstone torch can power dust in those locations on all four sides, it does not power the blocks in any way, shape, or form. So in order to actually have it power the block we want, if we want it to power this block, we would simply place the redstone torch underneath the block, which would then give it power, which then the repeater, as you can see, is pulling the signal out of that block. A redstone torch will give off a little bit of light. A normal torch will give off light level 15. A redstone torch will give off light level 7. You can break a redstone torch in many ways, whether using a tool or no tool. You can just hit it that way. You can also break a redstone torch if you use a piston and move either the redstone torch itself, it will break, or if you also move the block that this torch is sitting on, it will also break. On that note, I want to make one clarification on why this works here and why it didn't work here, where we were trying to power all the blocks around it. And that is because this redstone torch is not powering this block space in Minecraft. What it is doing is it's powering this block here, and I'll demonstrate how that works exactly. So for example, if we use this piston and we put this block right in front of it, if we were to place this torch on top of this block, that will cause this to extend because the torch is powering this block instead of the dust that would sit on top of the block. So it powers this block, which will move this block, causing the torch to break. So that's why it works here to power these dusts, because the torch is actually powering the blocks that the dust are sitting on, not the dust themselves, which is why when we had blocks all the way around this torch, it didn't power it because it was powering the blocks below these red ones that were sitting right beside the torch. Redstone torches are also used as an ingredient in a few items: redstone repeaters, comparators, and activator rails. So the redstone torch can be placed on most blocks, although it cannot be placed on the tops of the following blocks: on chests, enchanting tables, campfires, slabs when they're placed on the bottom half, leaf blocks, rails, lecterns, hoppers, stone cutters, cactus, signs, Stairs that are upright the correct way, cannot place the torch on the top. Same with a trap door, a composter, and a door. Although the last 4 have a unique characteristic where, for example, on stairs, if they're placed correctly, you can actually place it on the back of the stair, but not on the front or the top. Trap doors have an interesting characteristic where they can't be placed if they're closed or on the front side, but if you come to the back and open them up, you can actually place a torch on the sides. That's a little bit interesting, although once you close the door, it does break the torch. Composters, you cannot place them on the top, but you can place them on the sides. And then on doors, same thing. You can't place a torch on the top, but you can place a torch on a door, which I'm not entirely sure why you would, because again, as soon as the door is opened, it would break the torch. Redstone torches can be placed on some of these other unique blocks, so chains, end rods, fences, walls, iron bars, glass panes, anvils, scaffolding, bells, glass slabs when they're placed on the top half. Upside down stairs, you can place torches on, I guess, the bottom of the stairs technically, and respawn anchors you can place torches on as well. Now, the one thing to note with these, though, is even though you can place redstone on these blocks cannot accept power, so the redstone torches placed on these blocks are not able to be deactivated. As you'll notice that none of these allow the torch to actually be deactivated, because each of these types of blocks don't actually receive any power whatsoever. So because they do not get powered, the torch itself does not deactivate. Now, there is one exception. The bell, for example, I'll show you in a moment. The bell will receive power in the sense that it will ring when it receives the power, but it will not deactivate the torch. So the block itself doesn't receive power, so to speak, in order to in a way that the redstone torch registers it and deactivates, but it does react to the redstone power where it will ring every time it receives it, but as you can see, the torch does not deactivate. Glass is the same thing, doesn't do anything. Slabs, obviously they don't receive power. Upside down stairs are the same thing. So just, this is one of those things you need to be aware of, that if you're placing a redstone torch on something like upside down stairs, I built a storage room where the flooring was completely made out of upside down stairs because I was using stone brick at the time, and they can become infested, infested with silverfish, and so I ended up replacing the entire floor with upside down stairs. Now, if I had to place a torch or any redstone in that case, it would not have been able to receive power if it was placed on top of upside down stairs. That's just something to be aware of. Now, the the respawn anchor is an interesting one, where you can place a torch on this one, and this is one of the only special blocks that when receiving power, it will deactivate. Very, very similar to regular, almost any other block. If you place a torch on top and give it power, then the redstone torch will deactivate. So these are just some of the interesting blocks that you can actually place torches on. They just won't be able to deactivate. These here are some common ones that you can't place torches on pretty much at all, unless, like I said, on the back of this one, only if that's open, some special cases. So there's just some unique ways that redstone torches can function. And this one I wanted to mention because, like I said, sometimes you may be placing a redstone torch somewhere, and for some reason it's not behaving like it should. And this is one of those reasons, is because it might be on one of these blocks, where even though you can place it on the block, just because it can sit there, it doesn't actually mean that the block itself can receive power and you can deactivate it. So you may have to watch out for that and use a block instead that can receive power. Another interesting thing about redstone torches is that they will experience something called a burnout when it is forced to change states from activated to deactivated and vice versa. More than 8 times within 60 game ticks. So I'll show you how that is possible. So right now we have a redstone torch on the side of this red block, which this redstone torch, like I was saying earlier, is not interacting with this at all, which means this is not powered. As you can see, the redstone is not receiving any power whatsoever. However, if I place a block here, the redstone torch is powering this block. So if I was to place redstone dust up here, you can see it is receiving power. It is going to power the redstone dust. But what that means is because this block is receiving power, it can power every spot around it, which means I can place redstone dust here, and this will be powering this redstone dust, which when this redstone dust becomes powered, it in turn will power this block, which will shut this redstone torch off, which will stop this from being powered, which then will stop this from being powered, which means this block is no longer powered, which means that this will turn back on and power it again, powering this, and so on and so on and so forth. But because it's happening so quickly, if it happens more than 8 times in 60 game ticks, the torch will actually burn out. So I'll show you what that looks like. So if you just leave it, it'll flash a whole bunch of times and then it'll burn out. Now this will eventually reset itself. It often helps if you update the block. So if you do any changes within the block area, it will update itself. But this is in the beginning of my redstone days, this was a huge reason for a lot of my contraptions not working properly, because I inadvertently tried to, for example, hide this redstone torch. And I didn't want to see it, and so I would try and place a block over top of it, but it causes the torch to burn out. And then of course, if I had, for example, redstone dust down here leading off somewhere, obviously that's no longer working because the torch experienced that burnout. So that's just something to watch out for. Make sure that you're not cutting off the redstone or powering the block inadvertently by accidentally placing it over top. If you need to run something like redstone dust here, instead of placing a full block, you could actually place a slab, for example. So let's do it this way. So we'll get the slab on the top half and put the redstone dust here. So that way this is still your flooring. It's still at the same height as a full block, but because it's a slab, it's no longer, this isn't powering the slab. And so it's not powering the redstone dust here. So that is one way that you can still hide the redstone torch, but eliminate the issue of burnout. And one last thing is redstone torches give off a full redstone signal. So the power on this one, if we look in the middle right hand side there underneath where it says north, it'll say power. 15 is the one we're looking at. Next one is 14, 13. So a redstone torch does give off a full redstone signal. Alright guys, that's it for today. I hope you liked the video. If you did, feel free to smash that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and make sure you just click that little bell icon so that you can be notified when I post more videos just like this one. Alright guys, I will see you in the next episode.